Thank you. I think all the links are in the description below. So when I talk or share about anything, you're going to find the information directly below where to go, especially after this workshop is over. And I like to make things very interactive. So if anybody is on and they have a question, throw it in the chat and I'll do my best to multitask and check that out if there's a question for me. I love the idea of like a round table instead of me barking at anybody. I don't appreciate people barking at me. So I just feel like interactive and we learn from each other. And sometimes people bring up points that are very relevant that I may forget about. So it's very helpful when people shout out information and I'm like, oh my gosh, I didn't even think of that, how it ties in. And for the most part, it's usually pretty relevant. So we'll go ahead and get started. Today is all about Nourish to Flourish. It excites me a lot because I've always been into food and it's finally coming full circle of why that was a thing for me my entire life. And now more than ever, I think it's just so important to know that what we're putting in our bodies and the power of healing with food, because it also can be detrimental. Like food can also be poison. And I will share like some bad news throughout this presentation with you. But for the most part, I always have solutions. And I always say you can cry about it for 10 minutes and then put on your big girl panties and it's time to get to work and do something about it. I don't care very much for victim mindset because we're not victims. We're here to empower one another, empower ourselves and make choices and change things. They say the world is in like so much chaos right now. And I'm like, good, because we need that chaos to make a change. So it's kind of like the catalyst to that. My name is Laura Madrano, if I didn't introduce myself already. I'm a certified intuitive coach, which means this. It means that I follow a lot of my intuition on how I feel. I don't always follow like the research and the accolades and the certifications and all those things that you want to put the symbols behind your last name. It's like, I get it. Like memorizing a textbook might, actually benefit you, but it's just not the way I operate. I operate from how do I feel? So everything is always different when I'm coaching someone, when I'm helping someone. I'm guided and I just have this feeling and just know. And it's a beautiful thing. And I'm not here to say it's for everybody. I'm not everybody's cup of tea. And that's perfectly okay, because if it doesn't resonate with you, then it's probably not for you. And that is okay, because when you're showing up as your authentic self, then the right people are going to gravitate and stay. So yes, I have my certifications in, life coaching, health coaching, and very much holistic. So the holistic part, I think, just comes from just natural, because I'm always guided to nature. Nature has all the answers. Nature is just something that like we disregard, and people may call me a hippie or, however you want to label it. I mean, I still take showers, still shave my armpits. But I'm very connected to the earth. And I think the reason for that being is because I have Native American ancestry. And it's my father's father who's Native American. And he just has ingrained into my soul of my teachings. And, when I was little, I would go out to the garden and he would show me like what, peppermint was. If I had a stomach ache, if I had an ailment, like he would teach me those things. And he was very grounded and centered and calm. And I'm kind of like wild and crazy, but we have that in common as far as like being connected to nature. And my grandmother, she was the cook, she was the chef, and I would just always observe her in the kitchen. So obsessed with cooking since I was little. And I just feel like I got that inherently. It may have skipped my dad-ish, but that's what happens sometimes in lineage, because from one parent to the next, or from one parent to the child, sometimes you get a little like, oh, I don't want to do that. But it came to me from my grandfather. Reiki Master is where I infuse energy healing into everything that I do. For the highest good of all. I will never say it's for the highest good of me, because I could send out something that like I wish or want or pray for or hope or dream. If it's not for the highest good of all, then that's probably being a little selfish. So it's for the highest good of everything, for all is my intention with the Reiki healing. I do see clients one-on-one for energy healing, so we could talk about that later. And then, of course, microgreen advocate, and I think that stands from just being so connected to nature and eating live food and my love for cooking that I experimented with microgreens, and then I dove deep into this world of how amazing microgreens are and how nutritious they are for you. And it's really not that hard, guys. Like, you don't have to have a green thumb. You don't have to have acres of land. Of course, we'll dive deeper into that too. So, as far as the microgreens are concerned too, I sell starter kits on Etsy, so you can get your own starter kit. That's a link down below where you can purchase your own starter kit. I will send it out to you. And you can grow your own tray of microgreens from seed to harvest in 10 days. I'm also at the local farmers markets. So I share my love and my passion for food by offering microgreens, but I don't just want to have people buy them from me. I want to teach people how to grow them. Like, that is just where my heart is. Like, you guys can do this too. You can be self-sustainable. Like, you don't need to depend on big corporations for your food. And that's what today's talk is all about. Let's see. And if you see me looking down, I have some notes because I do not want to forget certain things that I have bullet pointed just in case. And my definition of wellness, because people say, oh, wellness coach, that sounds so generic. Yeah, it kind of is. But my definition is it's the practice of feeling good. So it's this overarching umbrella of like, what can you do to feel good? And of course, food takes like, my very first priority, but it encompasses so much more than that. So when you feel good, you do good. When you're healthy, that is like the catalyst for you to do anything else in life. So if you're not healthy, if you're sick, if you have disease, if you have ailments, you're probably not going to fulfill all of your other missions in life that you want to do. So that's my why of why wellness is so important. And so there's so many things, especially in this group with the Women's World Wellness. I feel like everybody brings their gift and their ability, and we can all share it with each other. Like, how amazing is that? So let's see. I love to feed people with inspiration. I love to make people feel good and positive. I also love, it's a weird thing. I love to watch people eat. And it's not because of the act of their eating food. It's because it's like they're doing something that brings them joy. And it's like a little dopamine hit. And it's like they're nourishing their body. So I like to watch people eat healthy food. Food that's good for you. Food that's going to fill you up. And also, like, nature. I mean, doctors can't patent anything in nature. So that's why I'm so connected with, like, all the answers, all the medicine is right before our eyes. And we have been talked out of knowing that. And so I'm here to get you connected to your food. Yes. So let's move on to the next slide here. Okay. And it's just to get everybody grounded and centered. I honestly just want to take a few minutes. Like, put your feet on the ground, sit upright, and close your eyes. And all this is just like a brief little meditation, just a quick one where we can just imagine that light shining in us, just getting bigger and expanding, and where you just feel connected to the earth and also connected to the sun. We are like that perfect right in between. And just visualize that light growing, expanding, getting brighter, and using that feminine energy to receive. Women have such a hard time receiving, but that's what we're supposed to do. That feminine energy is supposed to receive. So receiving the knowledge, receiving the love, receiving compassion for yourself, Just allow yourself to receive that in. And then on the exhale, you're going to release everything, let go. Let go of all the layers. Shed away all the external layers that no longer serve you. And as you shed away those layers, I want you to call in trust. Trust in your own intuition. Just trusting that you know the answers inside. They are deep down inside. There's nowhere else that you have to go. They are in you. And just trusting yourself. Your intuition is that gentle whisper. And it keeps nudging you. It keeps pushing you in the right direction. If it's yelling, screaming, shouting, it's your ego. And we got to put that ego in the back seat. Your intuition knows what is best for you. And just to trust yourself. And just fill yourself up with that beautiful light that's already shining inside of you. We're just activating it. We're just lighting that dim pilot light. Just continue breathing, taking deep breaths and focusing on how deep you can go with your breath. Just relaxing and enjoying and finding a little sliver of joy, even as the world around you may be in chaos. You can open your eyes and just visualize yourself happy and healthy and healing and just solid and strong. Sometimes it just feels good to take 5 minutes of your time to do that. And that's what I do when I'm in my car and I'm somewhere early. Like right now before this, I went outside and I went for a walk and I hugged a tree and I didn't care what anybody else thought of me. I just got centered and grounded. And then I looked up and I heard all of these like bees buzzing from above and it was beautiful. It was very like harmonic and it was absolutely gorgeous. And I just closed my eyes and listened to the bees and the birds and it was absolutely beautiful. We're going to go ahead and get started about facts about the food industry. So this is where maybe it's not the best of news, but I'm telling you, I'm not going to leave you hanging there. Like we're going to get to solutions. So bear with me as we go through some of these. They're not fun facts. They're just facts, right? 80% of medical schools do not require nutrition classes. Lack of connection with food and health. So this is not to say anything wrong or bad about medical school. Like doctors are amazing. Like if I'm going to get in a car accident or if I'm going to break my arm or something is going to happen, they are earth angels who are going to be very helpful. But when it comes to preventative medicine and nutrition, I don't always feel that they should be your go-to person. I feel like you should be your own health advocate. You should be your own health advocate first. So yes, maybe things will change. And I do have hope that in the future that things are going to shift into a system that's going to help aid us and be healthcare. Because right now it's not really health care. It's sick care. And people depend so much. They give all of their like, my doctor, fill in the blank. Oh my gosh, he didn't know, fill in the blank. And I'm like, what about being your own health advocate first? What about trying all of these things that are so simple? And we're going to get into that too. The next point is the cigarette industry owns the food industry. So how about that? Like, does that make any sense? This is not something that is shared like mainstream. This is not something, I do a lot of my research, meaning like under this topic and what resonates with me. I'm like, oh shoot, like you're right. Like if the cigarette industry owns the food industry, then what does that tell you? Like, they're in it for profit. And I have to be careful with my words on here because I know censorship is real. So I will maybe say some code words. Um, and the other one is keeping people sick is good business for BIG, a farm. Yes. So it's a money making industry. Their main concern, their intention is not to keep you healthy. And it's not to kill you either. It's to kind of keep you right in the middle. So you're a paying customer. I hate to break it to you. Yeah, it's kind of, it hurts, but it's also like, hey, now it's time to wake up. Now it's time to do something different. Now it's time to create a new system that's going to be concerned about your health. The food pyramid. Have you guys seen the food pyramid? Like, it is wrong. And at the very bottom, the very base, what you should have is like it says you should have grains and it says breads and carbs. And it's okay to have that sourdough bread, but what is it made from? Is it made from chemicals? Like, is it processed? Like, it just doesn't make any sense. We need to eat organic living food, not dead food, not junk food. We're supposed to count chemicals and not calories anymore. Back in the day, it was like, count your calories, document this. What about all the chemicals and all the processed food? What about all that? So I think at the very top of the pyramid, which it should be, is eat living real food. An example of that is right here. Like, this is our wheatgrass right here. Wheatgrass is the #1 highest vibrational food. I know you've seen it in the juice stores where they juice it. We sell it as pet grass. So it helps dogs and cats with their enzymes in their stomach to help digest their food. They lack an enzyme. That's why they go out and want to eat grass, because they're living on processed foods. So it's just kind of like a wake up call, like, wait a minute, we need to start eating more living foods. And the real pandemic is chronic diseases. So when the body is sick, it's in dis-ease. That's why I put the hyphen in there. Like, you're not at ease. And that is more prone to, I don't want to say it, the C word, cells, and other diseases like autoimmune, and just the list goes on and on, right? So I think we're at a very big pivotal point of us shifting into, like, wait a minute, oh yeah, like the way we've always learned things is maybe kind of wonky or kind of wrong. It doesn't have our best interest in mind, right? So going on to the next, let's see. Okay, processed foods. This is the big one, right? Does anyone even really know what like ultra processed foods mean? Like, what is it? I've just recently started diving really deep into this one, and ultra processed foods are anything that are like is made in a factory that you can't make at home. So like those Cocoa Puffs, like you can't really make that at home. So ultra processed. That's like one way of knowing what an ultra processed food is. And why are they harmful? Because they're made with chemicals. Because they are processed in a way that is not meant for human consumption, at least for us not to be healthy. They're also very addictive, and they're very cheap. They're cheap to make. Like, I was watching this documentary that they were putting sawdust in food just as a filler. Like, are you kidding me? Do you think our body like can digest sawdust? Like, is that okay? I mean, I guess it can, because they're putting it in some food, but we're wondering why we're sick. So why does the food industry use those unhealthy ingredients? That was the addictive and cheap. And like, how can you expect to harm nature with pesticides, fertilizers? That's basically spraying poison on our food and expecting to be healthy. So that's going into you guys have heard of Roundup, which is glyphosate, which is a herbicide. And it's being sprayed on our crops, but yet we're supposed to ingest it, right? It's like question. Yeah, light bulb goes off, right? I don't want to get too much into this because this is not the place for it, but I will just touch a little bit, like little tiny bit, is that they basically will do that to our food so they can sell you a pill to fix it. And that's going back to money. And that's not the way we are moving forward, at least not in my world. So that's probably for a whole nother talk, and we can just, dive deep. Yeah, it's going to impact everything. Your gut health, like inflammation. Inflammation is huge. Everybody's like walking around inflamed. I was even walking around inflamed, like even recently, where I'm like, what the heck? Chronic diseases that are just on repeat, and you wonder why. Everything in your body is connected. Like, I'm not here to be your doctor, your nurse, to tell you like all of the medical terms behind it. I'm just here to tell you like something's off, something's wrong. So what can we do to heal it? And I know the answer is a lot in our food. How to identify and avoid hidden additives, preservatives, and unhealthy oils. So that's another thing. Seed oils. These seed oils are killing us. Like, they're horrible. They're on every shelf. If you go down the grocery store aisle, canola oil, like all the oils are just, they're awful for you. And they're in almost everything because they're cheap. And they can just put them in everything, even in something that's like looked at as like healthy, if you think it's like a healthy label. And I even brought some things that we're going to go over with reading labels, because it's just so important. And even though you think, oh, this is healthy, I bought it at a health food store, you turn it over, you read a label, and you're like, oh shoot, maybe it's not. So, and seed oils are GMOs, which means bioengineered. So GMO is the term for bioengineered. So they changed it. They don't want to say GMO because people are getting onto this, right? They're learning GMO is bad. So they changed their wording and it says bioengineered. That's the same exact thing. That means created in a lab. That means not even real. Back in the day, I don't think we had to worry about that. We didn't have any of the C words and all the inflammation and the chronic diseases that we do now because of this reason right here. Seed oils also spike blood glucose levels and cause inflammation. So that's kind of like the tie-in there. Like, you wonder why you're inflamed? Oh, take a look at your diet. Take a look at what's going on. I'm telling you, once again, nature is absolutely perfect and we're messing it up. So I'm going to reel people back into like nature's the answer. And big companies, they don't have the profit. They can't patent it. So of course they don't want to be an advocate for anything in nature. And then reading labels. Reading labels is like huge for me, right? I brought some things and I don't want to like talk crap, but I'm gonna. So stevia. This is an example right here. Stevia is actually a really good alternative sugar. It is, but there's always a but. It comes from nature. It's a stevia plant. It's a good alternative sugar that does not spike your glucose levels. But this one is made with maltodextrin. Maltodextrin is not good for you. That is, what is it? It spikes your blood sugar. So the whole point of this one is kind of like throw it in the trash. This one, I don't want to call it TJs because I like Trader Joe's. I really do. I love them. But you gotta read labels. Like here, I'm gonna need my glasses, huh? Shoot, I'm at that age. It has seed oils. Seed oils are right in here. So everything is laced with these seed oils that you're like, wait a minute, what can I eat? Like, when you go out to restaurants, what am I going to order? You're kind of onto something. Like, you're right. If they use, we'll get into the good oils and the bad oils, but another label right here. This is all sugar. These liquid IVs, like, They may say they have zinc, they have vitamin C, they have all the vitamin Bs, but they are doused with sugar. So that makes no sense. And it also says natural flavors. Natural flavors is anything but natural. So marketing with these companies is very misleading. You know, there's nothing natural about it, but they can get away with it. But natural flavors are highly processed. So it just doesn't make sense. And I'll share a little story. I was in Costco the other day, and I was standing next to some demo that they were sampling, and I overheard the conversation, and she's like, honey, get the sugar-free one, get the sugar-free one. And I'm like, I didn't want to jump in or intervene, but I was like, it's not always what it's cracked up to be. It's not always what it's meant to be. I'm like, and I even make this joke with my friends. Like, those that know me, like, I make this joke. I'm like, do you want regular or do you want diet? Because some things are labeled as diet. And I'm like, regular has all the sugar. It'll make you fat. Diet will give you, you know, the C word. It's not funny, but it's just like, think about it. Wake up. Like, anything that's filled with like these sugar-free fads are processed and poison. Like, they're not good for you. So they're going to cause things in your body that you may not want to or even know of. So that's why it's very, very important to read labels. Huge on reading labels. There is, oh, we'll get into that later. Well, you know, I'll just tell you right now. There's some apps. And people are like, oh, follow this app for food. And I'm not going to name names, but yeah, they are a good way to kind of help guide you. But you can't trust all those food apps. Some of them are bought and paid for. And once again, it goes back to the money. So why trust those apps when certain products will buy and pay for that person to, you know, to speak for them, to be like, oh no, they're healthy, and they will get away with it. That's why it's so important to know how to read labels. Doing it yourself. Yeah, you can use that as a guide. Those apps are great guides, but know exactly what it is that's in the ingredients so you know whether or not it's good for you. And that way you get to make the decision, not the app. Yes. So let's go on to the next one. Oh, this is my oils. Oils. Okay, so I do a lot of cooking. And this is not like something I've known my whole life at all. Like, I'm telling you right now, I did not know any of this. Growing up, I cooked with Crisco and margarine. So I'm telling you, like, those things are awful. And Crisco, okay, so I learned this about Crisco. It's made with the cottonseed. Cottonseed's right here, cottonseed. I didn't even realize, like, yeah, cottons have seed, you know, like I had to put it all together. And the seeds are extracted, but they're highly processed, and then they're bleached, and then they're heated. So they go through all of these processes that are just like basically poison. And then they use a detergent on it, so you can't even smell it. And you're not, otherwise it would smell rancid. So Crisco is made from cottonseed, which is, I was like, psh, right? And then the oxymoron, like, you think like, oh, these oils should be good for you because they're vegetable oil, or like, sunflower oil. That sounds like it should be good for you. But once again, it's marketing, and it's not good for you at all. It's the process that they go through. Like, corn is heavily, heavily GMO food. So it's awful. And I used to not even bat an eye growing up, or, cooking in the kitchen. And now I made a list of the good oils, and these are my 3 good oils. And I tell this to the kids at a cooking class that I teach, and they are so on top of it because they're like, oh, my mom won't let me have canola oil. And I'm like, good job. Like, they're in tune. But with, like, I wouldn't have known. I didn't know at that age. And it's like, I just learned now. Coconut oil, as long as it's virgin and cold pressed. That is the good coconut oil. And of course, it has a flavor of coconut. So I'm not going to add that to like something that I don't want to have that flavor. So I always say coconut oil is really good for baking. Love coconut oil for baking. But you have to make sure it's cold pressed and virgin. Otherwise, it goes through a process. Avocado oil, of course. is great because it doesn't really have a flavor and you can use it with anything, and it does get to a hot temp. So if you're frying something, avocado is the way you want to go. It doesn't have a huge, distinct flavor. It does get hot. It has a high heat, and it's good for you. But the caveat, always the caveat, is that avocado, or any oils for this matter, can be cut or laced with other seed oils. So you always want to read the back, because just because it says avocado oil, they're going to put the dominant oil on the front and hope that you don't read the label for the back. If it says, oh, sourced in multiple locations, then that's when you know it's probably cut. So you want to get it from like one source. And then EVOO is extra virgin olive oil. And once again, you want to see where that was sourced, and if it's one source only, or if it's cut with other things, because a lot of times it'll be cut with grapeseed, and we don't want grapeseed. Also, EVOO. Did you guys ever watch Rachel Ray? I think she's the one who like coined that term. EVOO. It doesn't heat up very nicely. So it doesn't get to a certain temperature. So it's good on like salads, really good on anything that you're going to keep at that temperature. But if you're going to heat something, use avocado. Coconut oil, baking. So those are my like 3 little shortcuts for the good oils. Let's see, really quick. I'm just going to throw this in here because it goes sort of, salt. People are like, oh, I have to cut salt out of my diet. Oh, it's, so awful. Well, there's good salt and bad salt. You actually need salt. You need the minerals to hydrate your body. You need salt. But the bad salt is that iodized, I can't even say it, bleach salt. And I don't want to say the brand name, but it starts with an M, and she's like has an umbrella, and it's a blue little container. I think you guys got it. But good salts, there's good salts out there. There's Celtic salts, there's Redmond salts. So you can put a little bit of a sea salt. So those are like good salts for you. We need the minerals from salt. Our body needs those to absorb water. So that's my little thing on salt. And we're going to go into the next one here, which is intuitive eating. And it's my favorite part because I always like to say, like, how do you feel like after eating a certain food? Like, just because it's on like the bandwagon of everybody's doing it, and oh my gosh, it's a fad, and I should be, following this new diet. It's like, well, how does it make you feel? There is never a one size fits all. There is never like a magic pill. That's why I'm so intuitively guided for people. Everybody has different body types. Everybody has different needs. What about researching your blood type? Have you ever done that? I have a book on your blood type and what diet goes good with your blood type. What about after you eat and you just instantly like either have to go to the bathroom, or you just feel sick, or you get cramps, or you pass out because you're so tired? Like, food shouldn't make you feel like that. So how do you feel after eating a certain food? And like keeping like a journal of your food intake. And that way, if something bad happens, like if you have a bad reaction, you can go back to the food journal and be like, maybe this type of food doesn't sit well with me. Maybe it's the oils that it was cooked in. There's so many possibilities. They're really endless, but just being more in tune with that, because we are so disconnected. We just think, oh, I'm just going to eat and then go on to our work, go on, take care of the kids, go on to our life. And it's like, no, we need to sit and be mindful and chew our food slowly and really make this like beautiful symbiotic connection with our food. Like it's just something that I'm so passionate about. And then another thing is this. Oh my goodness. You don't need to spend a lot of money. People are like, I don't have that kind of money to buy organic foods. Well, guess what? Growing this is a lot cheaper than going to McDonald's. So there. Once again, I don't like the victim mindset or like making excuses for I can't eat that healthy. Like, if you don't have the time, then maybe you should either make the time or hire somebody that can, because your health is so dang important. you don't have to be full of resources. You just have to be resourceful. And I say that because right here, we're growing food indoors vertically on a wall. I don't have acres of land. So I get that all the time at the farmer's market. And it just like, I'm like, you guys, you're making excuses for yourself so you don't have to do it. And maybe that's the way you operate, but I'm here to like, let's rewire your brain a little bit. um, and then the role of stress reduction, sleep, and movement, like they all play a part. Like I said, a symbiotic like flow. It's not just the food, guys. Like, you know, eat this, not that. Well, guess what? There's so much behind it. It's like, it's not just the amount of kale you're going to have, or, you know, if you're eating this, that's healthy, the green drink, but it's like, how are you sleeping at night? How much stress do you have? How much is your cortisol level spiking on the daily? Like, do you ever soothe your nervous system? Are you getting outside and moving around? We're not meant to be behind like four walls, behind a device, behind a computer and typing and sitting all day. We're meant to be moving out in nature, connected with the sun, connected with the earth, feeling the water and the air. Like I'm big on all of those elements because they heal you. So just using your intuition there, like think about it as like a whole operating system. It's like the computer operating system. Like you can't just do it because you have, you know, a fancy keyboard. You need the whole entire operating system to propel. Yes. Healing with food. So this one, I have three main points. Of course, there's a million more, but let's just go a little bit into each one of these because it hits the surface of it. And then I want to have some feedback from you guys. If you're really interested in it, then we can dive deeper on another time. You know, because if there's something you're not that interested in, I'm not going to go deep into it, but we're just going to touch base a little bit. So gut and brain health. Oh my gosh, I spelled that wrong. I said brain. Finding my typos. Gut and brain health. So your gut and your brain were connected during embryo, and then they split. And now as like a full grown adult, you have that vague nervous system that's throughout your entire body, which is connected from your brain to your gut. So there's this huge connection. People think that, oh no, it's totally separate. Like, you know, how you think and then what your stomach says, like what your gut says. Haven't you ever heard like sick to my stomach, or I have a gut feeling, or you are what you eat? You know, you literally are like whatever you're putting in, that's what you end up. If you feel like crap, it's probably because you ate like crap. Um, it's just like a huge connection. And once again, I'm not, you know, the scientist to go through that, you know, as deep as I could, but I will give you people to follow or to unpack that a little bit more. But I just know like how much it's connected because I get answers based on my gut instead of always using my brain. I always say, use your mind less, use your heart more, but your gut will tell you some answers too. And the next one is eating whole organic live foods. And I talked a little bit about that already, like right behind me. These are live foods. They are living right now. And people at the farmer's market, they'll be like, how do you get your greens to grow so good? Because I tried to grow them and they didn't. I'm like, honestly, like it's just like a human being. You need food, you need water, you need sunlight, but most of all, you need love. And I know it sounds so cheesy and so cliche, but we will come in here and sing to our plants. I will play high frequency music. I will play the sound bowls, and they love it. They respond. So when you're eating these types of foods, you're literally like fueling your body with this nutrient dense vitamins, minerals, antioxidants, things that we're lacking in today's food. Because, okay, an example is this: an apple today is not an apple it was 50 years ago because of all of the pesticides, herbicides, all the chemicals that they're sprayed with. So Support your local farmers market. If they're going to grow them there, you might as well cut out that middleman and go directly to the farmers market where they grew them and source your food that way. How long was it on a truck for? What was it sprayed with? What kind of chemicals did they use to preserve it on the grocery store shelf? Like, we don't know any of that stuff. So cut out the middleman and go directly to the source. If you don't want to grow it yourself, I say get to know your local farmer. Build that relationship. And then the third one is energy behind food. That goes with my energy healing, because intention is everything. Why do you think people pray before they eat? They're sending good vibrational energy into their food. Stop eating stressed out food. Like, I hate to say this, but a lot of meat is stressed out. They spike in the cortisol levels, which is the stress hormone, and then you're ingesting that food and you wonder why you're sick. You're getting all those antibiotics and hormones from an animal that was completely stressed out in its life. And it is a very, very sad thing. But that's where we have to wake up. Okay, light bulb moment. Oh, maybe I should go to my local farm and source my food that way. So the energy behind food and being grateful for your food. Gratitude is everything. Whenever you're grateful for something. I said this to my son just last night. I said, tell me what you're grateful for, and he's like, why do I have to do that? I go, because then it'll just set up the scene for you to be grateful for even more. More things will come your way. I'm grateful for this little, cup of water, or I'm grateful that I have electricity right now. I'm grateful that, everything's working good with me for technology, those type of little things. So just the energy behind your food. And then I'm just going to touch base a little tiny bit on the water and sunlight, just because I mentioned that's kind of the connection here. We are very similar to plants. Plants and human beings are pretty much the same thing. Like I said, we need water, sunlight, food to grow, and most of all, love. But let's go into the water portion of it, just a little bit, or the sunlight portion of it first. So the sunlight is vitamin D, and I think they made us scared of the sun. They're like, oh no, stay out of the sun. Well, guess what? The sun heals and kills viruses. I'm not going to lie, very first, starting 4 years ago, I won't say that word either because I don't want to get dinged. But when that started 4 years ago, I went outside and I just laid out in the sun as much as I possibly can. I had the best tan ever. I'm not saying to don't cover up, don't sit under an umbrella, don't, wear your sunglasses, whatever you feel that you need for protection, but use protection in that way. Put your feet in the earth, put your feet in the sand, and get grounded and connected to the sun. The sun is life force energy. So it's just this beacon of light that without it, nothing would live. So don't be so afraid of the sunlight, but I'm not saying to just go out there and, you don't have to not wear any clothes. But, it's good for you to get out first thing in the morning, get connected with the sun, and then go about your day, because it regulates your circadian rhythm. There's this whole thing that happens at night. That's why you should go to sleep at a decent time, like 9 or 10. Once you stay up past midnight, you're messing up your whole entire cycle. And it messes up your mental health. It messes up your serotonin, So it just spirals from that. And then water. So water is not all the same. Water is completely different from one another. Tap water, spring water, alkaline water. There's just so much that is I've learned lately about water. But I will tell you this. One thing that you can do right here and right now, no matter what kind of water you have, is talk to your water. No joke. Say, I love you, water. Thank you, water, for healing me. Thank you for giving me, hydration. And say nice things to your water. You know how kids have stickers all over their water bottle? Be mindful what you're putting on your water bottle. Are they loving? Are they kind? Are they compassionate? I will name drop something right now. That liquid death. It's gross. And why would you want to drink something that says that? And you're putting that into your body. Your body's made out of water. And you're going to put liquid death into... Just think about those things. And it might sound kind of silly to you, but water is all about frequency and vibration. So just being connected with your water, saying I love you and thank you, water, is an amazing thing to do. We can talk about water on another one because that I can go way deep. Really quick, ways to detox with food. So food can be used as a detox. I have like so many other ideas too, and that's detoxing anything out of your system. Parasites, heavy metals, inflammation, an overabundance of medication. You can detox that out of your body, and you can do it with food. So cilantro and parsley are like very easy to do. Some people don't like cilantro. They have that gene. I thankfully don't have that gene, and I love cilantro, but it detoxes your blood even. So cilantro is really good, and it's a natural way to do it. You don't have to take all these supplements or all these pills or expensive treatments. It's like, just go buy some cilantro. We grow it right here. So easy. Sea moss is another one. It has like 92 essential minerals that we're missing in today's diet. Okay, so sea moss, and I know you might think it's weird, and it is weird, but guess what? I love it. And it's like I just make it into this like little mason jar, kind of like a yogurt consistency would be, and I just throw it into like my smoothie or something like that. I don't really care for the taste, but sea moss, 92 essential minerals that we're missing in today's food. Spirulina grows from the ocean, high in omega-6s. Love spirulina. It does taste like the ocean. So does sea moss. I love the ocean, so yeah, I'm down, but you can take it in little capsules. Just throw the powder in a capsule, swallow it, you don't even know it's there. Onions. Do you guys, did anybody ever use onions as a, like with their grandma, they would put them in their socks at night, and then when they were sick, and then in the morning, like the onions would be black? The onions literally detox your body, and your feet are like one of the biggest areas for all the junk to come out. So your skin is like one of the biggest organs and the biggest pore. So it all comes out of your feet with onions. Who knew? 99-cent onion. That's what I'm telling you. You don't have to spend a lot of money. And I do have a lot of other ways to detox. Maybe that could be a whole nother episode. Mediterranean diet. And I say that because I love my sourdough food, or sourdough bread, and my pizza and my baguette and all those things. But guess what? I'm looking at those ingredients, and if they're made with chemicals, if they're processed. I make my own sourdough, which has 3 ingredients, and one of them is water, so I'm using organic flour and salt and sea salt, a good salt. So you can still eat all those good foods. I never say like anything in moderation, because that just enables you to eat all of this crap. I say, well, think about the good food that you can supplement it with. Like, instead of eating a loaf of bread from the store, I'd rather make my own sourdough or buy it from the farmer's market. I'm telling you, like, you can replace all these yummy goodness, like the pizza. Like, I'm not gonna eat the junk pizza anymore. I'm gonna make my own pizza dough. So there's that. And I also mentioned apps already. So apps for food, I already told you the pros and cons for that. It's all about learning to read labels. These are my recommendation books that I've read or am reading. Once again, they talk about food as energy, and changing our mindset on like what we used to know and what we have learned. So unlearning those programs and like starting new, because what we learned before, what our parents have learned, is not necessarily true anymore. And that's okay. You have to just look at it as like, it is what it is. Like, my mom told me to eat margarine instead of butter, and now I'm like the opposite. So it just is what it is. So those are really good books. Casey Means and her brother, that book is just amazing. I think they have a Joe Rogan podcast right now that they dive deep into it, but she went to Harvard Medical and Stanford, and she was very much like going to be, a surgeon. And then she realized, wait a minute, the medical industry does not have the best interests of the people. So she like quit And she's creating a new paradigm, which is beautiful. I support that 100%. The other people listed below are there's just people I follow either on YouTube or Instagram. Dr. Berg, he's a holistic doctor. He's great. He's got a lot of information. Bobby Parrish, he's just like a normal dude who goes around to all the stores like Costco and Trader Joe's and tells you like, don't eat this one, eat that one. He has an app too. So and then Barbara O'Neill, she's old school. She's been doing this for years and years and years, and nobody probably listened to her. They thought she was a kook, but she's amazing. She has like so many natural remedies. Love her. Dr. Zach Bush too. Love him too. He has an amazing story. If you were to ever dive deep into his story, he tells you exactly why he's on this health kick mission to change things, because everything that he learned before is not necessarily the way it should be. So those are just something I share. And then of course to work with me. So I have everything listed below in the description. We can book a free call, just 15 minutes, just to exchange information if you have any questions. I do offer, a free, what is that? I'm sorry. It's a free, okay. Our 10 top questions. If you go onto that link, all of my information will be there, from Instagram to the Microgreens starter kit, and then also my Microgreens YouTube channel, which we just launched. That is brand new, and that's only all about microgreens if you really want to take the deep dive about microgreens. But I feel like I have like so much more information that's not just about microgreens. So I don't know, maybe like this is like the spark of something new where I'm gonna have to like create another channel that has all things healing, because microgreens are wonderful. They're great. And if anybody wants to nerd out on that, I'm all for it. But there's just so much more that I've learned over the years of like tips, tricks, and hacks that can work for you. And like I said, I'm here to get you connected with yourself. So if we ever book a one-on-one, coaching session, it would be, we could do Reiki infused healing, or we could do coaching based off like nutrition and your diet. So we can always do that at a later time. And I just want to say thank you much for having me. It was so much fun. I'm barely now seeing some of the chat, so thank you for chiming in. Let's see. Yes. Okay. Yes. I love all this. And yeah, I think the bottom line is getting connected with yourself and trusting yourself, and building a community is very important, because I think we're getting away from that competitive nature of like, oh, she got my idea and da da da. No, we're supposed to actually build some type of group situation where we all bring our gifts and our innate abilities and bring them to the table, and that way we like barter and exchange. Because the whole concept of food was really weird to me, that you like have to buy food. What if I grow all the tomatoes and then you grow all the bell peppers, and then like we're switching with everybody, and like we never have to buy food again? Like that is my dream, just to live on like that homestead front where like everybody's just exchanging each other's gifts. Like, oh, that person builds the house, but then that person, takes care of the chickens. So yeah. That's kind of my vision for the future, and I hope I live long enough to see that. But I do know that I'm here to be a catalyst to help people like snap out of it. Like let's wake up. Let's snap. So thank you again for having me, and I can't wait to share more in the near future. And then I think, just to answer anybody's question, I said, what seed oil should we watch out for? Oh, I think that was on the next slide when you asked that, and I did share that because I did have a list. And this is another something, I mean, it might be helpful. I don't know if you can see it, but this is all about what to avoid. Oh, here we go. What to avoid. This is like a freebie that I printed up from Dr. Berg. It's just like your basic go-to, especially with those seed oils. There's a lot of them on there. That's why it's easier to remember which ones you should go to instead of which ones to avoid. Forget all the rest. Remember the good ones. Once again, thank you again so much for having me. Sending love to everybody, each and every one of you, and happy healing and love. And we'll see you next time. Bye.